Some things in life are just plain good. A portion of lasagna, cheap or expensive, it's 10 out of 10. The cold sip of just about any drink on a hot day, life-saving. And apparently, Horizon Zero Dawn as well. I know very little about this game, it always slipped away as I played other games, but of what I do know, I know it's overwhelmingly liked. It's praised as a near-perfect open-world experience with breathtaking visuals and a unique world. Many people, from friends to critics, have said that Horizon Zero Dawn is just plain good. One of the best, one of the greatest. But is Horizon Zero Dawn really that good? Will the process of getting a platinum trophy ruin this game for me? There's many games praised as flawless that I sometimes find underwhelming. Is this one of them? Let's not waste any time in finding out if Horizon Zero Dawn will make me or break me. The opening to the game is beautiful as it shows the unparalleled rampant nature and the solitude surrounding it. Well, until the unimaginable robot dinosaurs appear. This man, Ross, describes specific cultural ways, for some reason talking to a baby, which he quickly makes clear is not his own, as well as telling the baby it has no mother. Little harsh, but you do you, Rost. He ascends the mountain to perform a ritual and grant this baby its name. It's clear either the baby is special or has had something special happen to it. Ross then decides to name the baby after his favourite garlic-based condiment. Again, little weird there, Rost, but you do you. The elders fight and argue, angry that Rost loves the baby, which, again, little strange to assume that because he did name her after garlic aioli. This setup to the game is done really well. You get small tastes of the world, the culture, mystery surrounding garlic aioli. Sorry, I mean Aloy. You get to see enemies and also find out there may be different factions with beliefs surrounding Aloy and Rost. However, they also blatantly foreshadow Rost will die because the guy who always vows to be there for the main character always dies. See you, Potato Rosty. Garlic aioli will not be the same without you. Selecting a difficulty. I went with very hard after much deliberation, and this was only because ultra hard features many challenges that restrict a player, making it seem more suited for a New Game Plus mode rather than a first time experience. I like challenge, I don't like torture in video games. The actual game opening furthers the development of Aloy's character by showing us her childhood. This is great, as it will help us both form an attachment to her while simultaneously adding weight to her as an adult and allowing us to appreciate her growth and character development. What's even greater though is that children with weird names is a normality in this universe, as this kid
You're quite the gatherer, aren't you, little Bast?
is an A, R and D away from a very bad name, or very good name depending how you look at it. Plus, it isn't a good look for me blasting my television and everyone nearby on the entire street can hear this child screaming and grunting. One nice touch is that as Aloy is exploring this old human ruin, she'd been warned to never enter, obviously by Rost. You can tell she's both scared but also intrigued as she explores. As she's climbing the stairs, she does something I bet every single one of you watching this video has done. Less of a nice touch is when the child starts robbing corpses and gains a tech scanning device. What's really interesting about this is almost like the technology of this world, or at least these ruins, are like another universe. With this item, Aloy is the only one able to tap into this universe, like she's able to speak another language and see the world in a way no one else can. It seems quite lucky she's the only one to find one of these, but I suspect it'll be clearer soon. Previous cutscenes have shown us how outcasted Aloy is. People avoid her as if she is plagued, and it's clear that she is incredibly desperate for someone to simply just talk to. So much so that even when she sees a hologram and she knows it isn't real, she still enjoys and finds happiness in just interacting with it and experiencing the positivity. It's both heartwarming, sad, and really realistic at the same time.
Show me. Show me again.
Taken to. He's right behind you. Hi.
birthday, Isaac. Daddy sure does love his little big man. Look, Daddy can't be there with you and Mom, but we can still have a party, right? Sure we can.
Happy birthday, Isaac. Daddy sure does love his little big man.
The game isn't scared to tackle dark subjects either, or the pain a child could go through, and nothing makes this more evident than the audio logs you find. These logs are what seem to be the final thoughts of people resigned to death, either drug-addled, killing themselves, talking about lovers, or just swearing for the sake of it. Regardless, it's quite dark to consider a child finds long-forgotten corpses and relives their final moments. I'm all for this emotional depth, even if it is intense.
So if that upsets whoever finds this,
Why did they die here?
I don't
What happened?
anyone.
But luckily Rost saves us like a ray of light shining through the darkness of the ruins. Rost sees this place as something much darker than Aloy does though, and he fears the piece of machinery Aloy brought back. He attempts to take back the machine, but Aloy refuses. You can tell in this moment Rost, evidently out of love, chooses to teach her how to survive, as she is, rather than to change her to be how he thinks she should be, a true father.
Well, if you're gonna go sneaking away from home, you'll need to know how to survive in the wild. Come, Aloy. Home now. But starting tomorrow, you will learn to hunt.
He could certainly be a slightly better father though and get her some shoes, because hearing her wet feet slapping against mud for this entire tutorial is painful. Whilst basic, this tutorial isn't necessarily bad, only because you get to experience Rost and see how Aloy takes in information and acts, that she's curious but stubborn. However, it really is also extremely basic stuff too. How to crouch, how to sneak, how to throw a rock, how to collect herbs, all things that were fairly basic all the way back to Far Cry 2. And that's often a major problem with games like this. As a product, they have to cater towards the masses, and that means having a tutorial for the most basic features that the vast majority don't need, as ironic as that sounds. The result is a game that doesn't truly start for a few hours, and so far I feel my time has just been spent walking and listening. Maybe in an hour or two I can actually play, but for now, it's baby steps. But you think I'm overreacting, right? Well, how about one of the big cardinal sins of gaming? We hear screaming, and Ross demands we quickly go and help said person. And instead of running quickly, as you would, or having some kind of intense action sequence justifying the dramatic music, we just get Ross to being really slow to catch up, having to wait for him and then follow him, bored as you just push on the left stick carefully. Why this couldn't have just been a part of a cutscene, or introduce some kind of environment making travel more difficult, I don't know. All I know is Ross must be getting old because a 6-year-old is faster than him. I also have no idea if this is intentional to help the modern gamer generation connect with Aloy, but Ross constantly saying things like this,
Oh?
And enough muttering to that plaything.
makes me reminisce about my parents telling me to stop playing video games. Well, look at me now, Dad. I have 500 subscribers on YouTube thanks to video games. I will give credit to the game that they quickly move their basic tutorial into a practical tutorial that utilises the basic stealth and basic technology mechanic. This is done through a short section where we have to navigate through patrolling enemies to rescue the aforementioned screaming guy. It isn't groundbreaking, but they are fairly quick to start showing us the actual game, rather than forcing us through more basic tutorials. My favourite part of this whole section though is them developing Rost's and Aloy's characters. Both are exceedingly stubborn, but Rost repeatedly shows that he can overcome this to show his support for Aloy over his own feelings. Rost is the #1 daddy in gaming. Don't fight me, I will do a top 10 list on top 10 game daddies. Do not fight me. Rescuing the screaming man, who I now know is actually the screaming boy, unfortunately leads to more evidence of Aloy's loneliness, as she's insulted for being thanked by the boy, and the boy is punished for even speaking to her as a motherless outcast. It's horrific, and for us, it's unjustified.
They are outcasts, both. And she is motherless.
This boy starts throwing rocks at our precious Aloy, and I take back what I said earlier. His mother should have added the A and the R and the D to his name. As he throws these rocks at Aloy, I get the growing desire for her to throw it back at him. Then, to my surprise, I get the option to choose how Aloy acts. Now I suddenly don't want to throw a rock at him, but if I'm to choose how Aloy acts, I want to choose how I think she would act, not how I would act. If it was me, I would drop the rock because I'm not a psychopath who tries to kill children, even if they hurt me. Anyway, I get the feeling that Aloy wants to connect with people, but she's also tough and doesn't take abuse, so I believe she would use the rock to knock the rocks out of the Bast ARD's hands. As humans, we are desperate to know why. Why does the light disappear at night? Why are we on Earth, and why is life unfair? When times are tough, we are more desperate than ever to know why. For Aloy, as these people she desires to connect with assault her as if she is dirt, she wonders, why? Why am I an outcast? Why am I here? Why do I not have a mother? It's understandable, and her stubborn self fights to find the truths of her whys. Ross does not fight against it. Instead, again, as the loving father he is, he instead supports her to find the answers. And so, a montage shows us Aloy training with Ross for a long time. Her growth and talents improve until she is ready to find the matriarchs and the answers she seeks. And now the adventures of Potato, Rusty and Garlic Aloy starts. And start the adventure does, very much so. First, you're assaulted with the skill menu, and then the freedom to explore is just given to you. It's simple and streamlined, but offers choice. You wrap your head around that, and then the view assaults you. After the very railroaded tutorial, you don't get the time to take in and absorb the world. But here, as you enter the real game, beautiful landscapes stretching out far beyond what you can see. Mountain after mountain, field after field. The view is mesmerizing, and the way the colours desaturate as the distance grows makes the world feel unfathomably vast and exceedingly realistic. Then, almost immediately, you're sent on a solo mission. The test of your skills takes place, a mission in which you may die, and so you are told to open the map and check where to go, and you're then assaulted with an absolutely gigantic looking game world. If you can't tell, this is a total 180 of the mind-numbing tutorial, and having all of these features and huge open world makes the tutorial entirely forgivable. I feel like I've gone through the most horrific training to now claim the world as my own. The combat is far from easy too. Granted, I'm playing on very hard, so that is a factor, but that isn't why the difficulty is good. The combat is designed really well, and it is designed to make you feel like a hunter. This doesn't mean hunter as in Far Cry, where you just whip out an RPG and launch a rocket at a goat. I mean hunter as in a normal human being trying to hunt a large robotic creature that's more agile, stronger, made of metal, and very perceptive. A general fight is more akin to Monster Hunter, where every fight is important, rather than a simple open world game where you just mow down enemies left and right. Combat is designed to require the player to focus on weak points, careful planning, stealth, and agile movement. You don't go in swinging and just kill enemies, you hunt them, you think, you plan, and then you execute. Sure, on easier difficulties, there is more leeway, but even on the hardest difficulty, with enough skill, you can make a clean kill. A minor gripe though is that the UI is just way too much. It's a chaotic mess that hurts the eyes, and this is especially so when you're trying to fight an enemy and a massive text box fills up the entire screen telling you to do something whilst trying to fight for your life. You're able to apparently make the UI dynamic, but it seemingly did nothing. nothing. It's unfortunate the UI is so obnoxious when the game uses the UI subtly in other ways, such as how Aloy's device cleanly translates foreign text to English. Don't know how or where she learnt to read English, but still very impressive. It isn't just the game world that's stunning, but the faces too. When you see Aloy's face, or heck, even most major characters, they have a lifelike sparkle in their eye that makes every conversation feel personal. That being said, there is also an awkward stiffness when two characters talk to each other. Here, Rost and Aloy have a meaningful conversation, and it feels more like they're talking to themselves, and the other just has to be there than a loving heart-to-heart. I'm not exactly certain what causes this issue, possibly the strange blank stares, but it really feels robotic at times to me. This doesn't exist in cutscenes though, as you'll see here, where both Rost and Aloy look scarily lifelike. Rost has taken me to a more dangerous area to hunt for a rare and threatening robot called a sawtooth. The fight itself was surprisingly easy, and this is something that is already weighing on me. The combat has already started to feel a little easy. Now, I'm hoping this is just because I'm in the tutorial and it's starting the game off easily, but I am considering going up a difficulty already. The sawtooth was well designed because it showed that using specific weapons such as a new tripcaster bow allows you to exploit weaknesses and more easily defeat robots you otherwise wouldn't be able to. For instance, with the sawtooth, it has a vulnerable tank underneath its belly, and the only way to expose that is to trip it up. That being said, when I did engage with the sawtooth, it wasn't too difficult to just dodge and shoot. It did take longer because the difficulty decreases my damage, but it wasn't hard in the slightest. I do tend to find games easier, so don't take this as me being negative, just that this is my experience. Even if I'm not feeling like it's difficult, I do see how well designed the combat is in forcing players to adapt a role as a hunter and fight smart. And again, this is one enemy out of many. After killing the sawtooth, the ultimate father, Potato Rosty, teaches Aloy that being part of a tribe isn't just about them having a duty towards her, but her having a duty towards them. If we hadn't killed the sawtooth, many would have died. So what we are learning is that Aloy is Patty Parker and Rost is Uncle Ben, and I can't wait to get my superpowers when Rost dies. With great technology comes great responsibility.
For years, you've trained to win the proving, but only for yourself. As a brave, it will be your duty to fight for your tribe.
My tribe? You said I wouldn't need them.
But I never said the tribe wouldn't need you.
With the sawtooth dead, I travel to Mother's Heart to perform the ritual challenge, whatever it is that's happening, to find the answers that Aloy seeks. Rost, however, breaks the news that Aloy will never see him again. She doesn't take this well and,
But I told you, I have that figured out. I'll come to you in secret.
Yes, Aloy, shout your super secret plan as loud as you can. That won't go badly, will it? Seriously though, Rost is super dad. He lives and breathes doing what is right for Aloy, and that only makes the moment that he says she will never see him again all the more difficult. He will remain an outcast, and Aloy will talk to him, which means she risks losing everything she worked for. Rost knows this, and you can tell this man's heart breaks. Yet he does this for love, for Aloy. Yet we all know Aloy is very stubborn with a very large heart, and she will not accept this, and neither will we.
No, it's not. You taught me how to track. Wherever you go, I can follow.
Not this time.
This time. And every time. I'll be wearing this when I find you.
May All-Mother bless you, Aloy.
And you.
Oh crap, they heard us shouting about a damn secret plan.
Braves, stand aside. She is welcome here.
Oh, false alarm.
Oh, Down the path to the right, you'll find an old friend who can't wait to see you.
Oh, no, it's Bast ARD. Oh, never mind, it was just the guy we saved as a child, but I'm sure that Bast ARD guy is somewhere out there. Thanks to this guy we saved as a child, we get a free outfit, and we learn that the game has different outfits and equipment that aren't just cosmetic, but also change stats. I'm very hopeful that it provides significant changes to the game, and it isn't just tacked on as a couple of different pieces of clothing. Aloy, get away from the music, the Nora tribal copyright strike me. Aloy, get away from the music, the Nora tribal copyright strike me. It isn't just armour either, but new weapons too. A merchant offers me a good variety of new and unknown weaponry. Many I can't afford too, which is good as it gives me strong personal goals. It's like the game is showing me that there is a great deal of depth to come for a long time into the game, and this is something an open world game desperately needs. Once progression is gone, stagnation kicks in. Then we learn a potential answer to some mystery. We meet a man who has the same piece of technology we do, what is known as a focus, though immediately a very well-spoken man tells us he's a lucky nobody who has just happened upon this device. Maybe we also are a lucky nobody, or maybe, just maybe, we are a lucky and special person who happened upon it. This well-spoken man persistently hits on Aloy, almost out of nowhere and without hesitation, and suggests that she finds him. Whilst it was weird to so abrasively see Aloy desired, the man does start expanding the lore of the world by talking about his clan, how different it is to Aloy's, and that the world is not as socially small as she may think. His clan, the Karja, has a grand city including nobles and kings. After dealing with an absolute cretin of a guard who bullies a lone woman, Aloy, because she doesn't have a mother, we finally run into Bast ARD, who's looking very shiny and smooth, like his brain must be. Luckily, unlike most protagonists, Aloy is refreshingly resilient. She doesn't get bothered by anyone. She slams a door in the face of the cretin guard and tells Bast exactly how it is. It's rare to see a game do a strong female lead so well. She's stubborn, mature and independent, yet she has a large heart and seeks to understand the world. One would think she comes across as a little too perfect, and to be honest, she is absolutely perfect, but the developers were smart and we all know that inside her is that inner child, how much pain she's endured and carried. Her amazing personality is earned and warranted, though, just as Aloy does, we want to work hard and help her inner child too. And the next day, that is exactly what we do. Ascending the mountain, we prepare ourselves for the trial, something which should be easy. However, amidst the chaotic whirling of snow, we suffer the unjustified wrath of humans. Both Bast ARD and the cretin guard Roche decide to stand in the way and destroy Aloy's trophy. However, Aloy is used to adversity, and in the face of adversity she pushes herself, takes the more challenging path known to kill many, and she goes on to win the trial. Though it seems the trial was a trap and Aloy is the prey, an unknown group of cultists attack, killing Bast ARD, thank you for that by the way cultist, and a nice girl who actually spoke to us. Despite fighting back many, we are captured by a large and ferocious cultist whom also has a focus. Naturally, Rost comes to save the day though. As we also predicted, Rost is our very own Uncle Ben and sadly gives his life to save Aloy. Her throat nearly entirely sliced open, he throws her off of the cliff to save her. As she falls down, blacking out, the last she hears is a large explosion. I'm sure this was a shock to all of you, or at least those that haven't played the game, and it was to me too. Even though I knew Rost would die, the utter chaos and complete and total emotional shifts kept me engaged and emotionally on the edge of my seat. You never know what quite will happen next, which makes this entire chain of events slightly harder to process, more impactful and memorable. This intelligent use of emotion in the story has persisted through the entire game so far. At no point is this game ever simply following a narrative. There is always mystery and twists and turns, and you never truly know when the game truly starts or what could happen next. But as we wake up after a strange nightmare, without our focus we are left with nothing but mystery. Rost is gone, this tribe is gone, and we know nothing. The mystery starts to unravel slightly as the real game starts. We learn the cultists use the focuses with ease and use them to hunt Aloy, tracking her through the focus of the man we met in Mother's Heart. The reason why they hunt Aloy is still unclear though. She shares DNA with some woman in their system, but still, why Aloy? Before we get time to think, again the game keeps things moving as one of the elders rushes us through the claustrophobic halls, very unlike the expansive world outdoors. Some truth of this mystery is slightly funnier than you'd expect. Aloy finds it as silly as I do, but essentially the tribe believe the mountain itself is a goddess, and that Aloy, a baby who mysteriously appeared outside the door, is either a blessing or a curse. Aloy approaches to the door, and instead of finding truth that maybe she is special, the door rejects her as corrupted. Again, the game finds a way to provide answers yet sets up more mystery. And to boot, there is this wonderful philosophy about religion's use of understanding the world. We know this as technology, they do not. Yet their way of understanding this through religion is not strictly wrong. Aloy is corrupted and she must cleanse this to enter, so to cleanse it she must find out more about the short-haired woman who seems to look like her. It's basic, it's rudimentary, but it's pure and innocent and provides a means to solve the new mystery and understand the world. Through science, through religion, through personal growth. It doesn't matter, it's pure and beautiful with a good depth. And so, all but one elder grant us the title of Seeker, to seek the truth of ourselves and the world. You gotta love a religious reason for us to be allowed to do whatever we want, especially after they used religious reasons to bully and abuse a baby for 18 years. Though, as usual, if you think it would be as simple as just walking out the front gate, you'd be wrong. Not just do we have to suffer the abuse of this cretin guard who is now a war chief, but we also get attacked by a strange new type of enemy we have been told about, a corruptor. A robot which controls all robots near it and sends them feral. This fight was the toughest yet. It required a lot of dodging, using tools well and being extremely careful. I died once, but managed to finish it without too much difficulty. The longer fights with multiple enemies, especially ones you can't just run from, go much, much better in terms of difficulty. And our reward for destroying this corruptor, well, it isn't Rosh telling us to go away, even though he does do that. No, it's the ability to take control of any robot we want, such as riding a strider and getting our very own mounts. Truly, the game opens up now, and not just the world, but the creatures of this world are ours to discover. Combat is still very dangerous. Here I confidently waltz in unprepared, thinking I can shoot my way through the encounter. No, I cannot. I die. Luckily, the game autosaved and I try again, being a little bit more careful and deliberate to focus on weak points and act like a hunter, not a COD player. I can't speak for all side quests yet, but this one is great. The side quest tackles the concept of mental illness in this world, how religions justify and how a family live with the struggle. Do you condemn this man or support his sister in potentially risking her own life to keep him calm? What's great about this is that the side quest focuses on unique themes instead of help me get some robot parts. Though the previous quest was literally just that, kill a robot and save my sister, so mixed bag so far. I have no idea why, but the game just gives me some seemingly better armor, and definitely better looking armor, for free. It must be related to the DLC in some way, but it's strange, and I'm not really a fan of games removing the progression curve and just providing stronger gear like this. Even though it seems mostly cosmetic, even then it ruins the excitement of getting progressively more attractive gear. Plus, now having finished the game, this gear looks way better than anything in the base game that you actually earn. So I opt out of using it, it, I just get started and don't feel like I should be a goddess immediately. Though if Aloy did look at me with those big beautiful eyes, I'd probably do anything she said. So this man talks about people keeping their chin up, but his chin can't seem to keep up with his own mouth. This is what I mean by some of the conversation coming off as robotic. His facial animations seem a little strange, but more so as if it's some characters are robots whose face just moves around as they blankly stare straight ahead.
I represent an organization called the Hunter's Lodge in Meridian. We test promising young hunters with trials at places like these.
Shortly after this, I find a merchant who sells me an item that reminds me of the greatest driving force for a completionist, something which I had completely forgotten about, and that was the collectible. I could buy maps from this merchant for very cheap, which is absolutely brilliant because it means I don't need guides to play the game. The game provides me the means to complete it. It only gives you very vague areas, but that's all that's needed. It makes the entire process less stressful too, making this platinum trophy look all the more fun. The collectibles are somewhat beyond me though. What are metal flowers? What are cauldrons? And what's an ancient relic? And what are trials? Luckily, the trial master is right next to me, so what a coincidence. Let's find out. The trials are great and designed impeccably to provide challenge relevant to the players at the time they locate them. The trials aren't designed to be impossible until you acquire that correct weapon or that correct skill. Sure, these can make it easier, but not needed. I'm up all the trials up and have great fun challenging myself getting perfect ranks called Blazing Suns in all but one, because unfortunately for me I need to purchase the weapon for this last trial and I do not have the money to do so. Why do I have to have money problems in games as well? You know what doesn't help with money problems? Carry around literally everything valuable you have like you got straight up gold bars somewhere under your couch cushions. No wonder I was both poor and had inventory problems. Luckily, the games make selling items really easy by telling you what the purpose of the item is, as well as the source of it in case you need more of it. It seems like Horizon hasn't just made a very good open world, but a very good user-friendly open world. Not all collectibles seem to be immediately obtainable. The first ruin I happen across is seemingly locked behind some form of mechanic I don't understand. I considered it could be puzzle based and I have to go in at a specific time, but the idea I have to start this game at midnight just to get a collectible is insane. I'm here for Horizon Zero Dawn, not Animal Crossing. I later find out, and by later I mean it literally at the very end of the game, that you have to press triangle and examine one of these broken machines and it tells you that you have to collect power cells all throughout the game. I also discover a new form of side quest, which are bandit camps, though I put this to the side because in a nearby village I get 2 actual side quests and I want to confirm if they are all designed around unique themes or if they're just go do this. And they aren't unique. Both these side quests are extremely mundane. Man is dying, find herbs. Sister gone for revenge, find sister. Side quests are nearly always the killers of these open world games and I didn't expect Horizon to be any different. I'm hoping we really do get some more meaningful side quests, or that one of these side quests leads to something a little more interesting. Then, as I travel through an abandoned city, I hear the thunderous footsteps of some colossal creature and I know that I finally get to meet a tallneck.
The tall neck. Looks just like Ross described. The signal must be coming from its head. I need to get up there.
As I turn to see the massive giraffe-like robot towering above the debris, adding an immense sense of scale to the game, both in how big things can be, but also in how small I am. Climbing the creature isn't particularly hard and offers an absolutely gorgeous view of the game world that stretches out far beyond what the eye can see. I actually just wanted to stand around up here, enjoy the ride and watch, but eventually I decide to override the creature and rappel down. Overriding the long neck makes it my own personal scout, showing me large portions of the map. And here is where we get onto the subject of open world games as a product, as well as the some things are just plain good statement at the start of this video. Certain general gameplay mechanics seem to exist in every open world semi-sandbox game, and Horizon is no different. In the case of the long necks, you can compare them directly to Assassin's Creed Eagle Towers, though, by far, Horizon innovated upon this mechanic, as rather than just pressing up to climb, you have to methodically climb a moving creature. I mean, Shadow of Colossus did do a better job of this on PS2, but still that was the entire game, so I can forgive that. Some homogenized mechanics are sadly less innovative and just follow the cookie cutter mold. I neglected to mention this so far because I wanted to be certain, and now I am. I have played from recent memory 2 other games that use this same mechanic almost identically, and these are Days Gone and Witcher. This mechanic is the tracking mechanic, which really just amounts to follow some form of trail which you find using some sort of special vision to a point in which you examine some objects. That's it. Many games use this and it's nearly always the same. Is this just simply good and should be homogenized? No. I don't get why this is an industry standard feature, but I don't think it's particularly engaging to essentially have a follow the NPC quest every other quest, except instead of an NPC it's a wisp of air. It's almost like a roadblock to actually playing the game. It feels like it pads out quests and makes me walk around for the sake of it. I didn't understand it in Days Gone, Witcher, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or this. At worst, I just walk until I find what I'm looking for. At best, I get attacked whilst doing it. Is this game using a formula of things that are just plain good? Sometimes, sometimes not. Instead, it's just using things that...
all of this just works.
Sometimes though, things are just plain good, and Horizon Zero Dawn has taken elements from those things. One such example is the blend of action combat and stealth gameplay. It's become fairly universal now that these open world semi-sandbox games allow players to either be sneaky or a brutal warrior. Whilst for some games with assassin in the title it's a little weird to become Conan the Barbarian, for others, like Horizon, it offers freedom in gameplay. Here, there is a very difficult story section. A camp filled with corrupted enemies. Charging in, bows blazing, is not smart, though pure stealth is not easy in itself, so naturally it is designed to be done through mostly stealth, with everyone helping to finish off in action combat. Aloy explains this as her plan before going in.
Whoa, wait. Let's not rush. Give me some time to make an approach. If I end up alerting them, open fire.
This is great because it offers players freedom, story option for role-playing, and is all tied together by really good stealth gameplay and some of the best combat seen in an open-world game. This is just plain good. It's also good that Aloy is the only main character ever in a game to leave when family members start bickering, instead of standing there like she's the family therapist listening to these guys' problems.
Am I not owed that?
Maybe I should have a look around.
Do as you wish. Everyone else does.
Even though the game has the incredible long necks providing unparalleled viewpoints, the game still opts for the traditional Assassin's Creed style climb big buildings, or sometimes climb big mountains. And whilst fun, I do not feel the climbing is as refined as other games. There's this strange feeling of Aloy snapping onto objects like she's a magnet and it's metal. Sometimes I don't feel I have to actually grab a ledge, just be in the vague area and let her home onto it like a rocket. Upon reaching the top though, the criticism subsides and I realise how worth it was. I appreciate the view and head to the very tip of this building to stand atop the world and bask in the splendour until Aloy just walks off the edge and kills herself. Not like a magnet that time, are you, Aloy? Another staple of the genre is the various animals to hunt which allow you to upgrade yourself, popularised by Far Cry. This is one area in which Horizon excels and innovates because it synergises the idea popularised by Far Cry and throws in some Monster Hunter. It isn't as simple as go shoot tiger, get skin, but in Horizon this happens. I see a new robot on the map, a bellowback. I think, oh cool, a new robot, this will be fun. I'll get some cool loot, some new materials, I'll just shoot away and it'll be great. And no, Aloy becomes ingot as they pummel her flat. It isn't as simple as just hunting and killing some random creature. You have to understand what you hunt, their weak points, you need the right weapons too. It's absolutely great because the world feels dangerous and alive. It makes you feel like there's a lot of improvement and growth ahead and allows you to experiment with the combat system, unlike other games where you just butcher wildlife with your AK-47.
Yes. My friends and I, they would steal from us.
Look there, those old rocks. A bandit clan squats in them.
Bandits? The bandits I just killed.
Nope, my partner and I shadowed these scum for days.
Scouts were clearly not very good. Literally all of the bandits are dead.
Say, how about you and I work together? Kill them all.
I have already taken the lead. The bandits are dead. What is wrong with you?
Have you ever thought about
No, they don't get that looking.
Ah, he's a psychopath. checks out. As suspected, the side quests are as unfortunately mundane as I thought. It started off strong with a very unique concept for the setting. However, now we are at go kill the robot, open the big gate I'm not allowed to, beat the trial you would have anyway, get my family heirloom back. The side quests are as basic as they can get, and at times they are just objectives you'd most likely already do. I'm not saying a side quest has to be revolutionary and groundbreaking, no, but definitely better than find my lucky ring, please. Maybe if you lost your ring, it ain't so lucky, bud. Now can I go save the world, please? The atmosphere in the game drastically changes based on time and weather. It's really good. Here, as I assault this gate at night, the bright lights of the machines nearly blind me. It feels much easier to sneak in, though equally the machines feel much more terrifying. I cannot think of any game I've ever played where you can see pure nature combined with oppressive machinery. An extra very nice touch is how the developers use torch bugs to show bushes you can sneak in at night. It's also in the day that the developers fought out these bushes though, because they made Aloy's hair red, whilst also making the bushes red. Yeah, it's a tiny little thing, but it's really interesting and makes it visually more sensical that she blends in so well. Good luck to her though if she ever goes to a place with non-red bushes, or just maybe no bushes, like, I don't know, a forest or a desert. Good luck. Where the quests and side quests seem to be failing, the collectibles and random areas are succeeding. The motive for going to this large gate was just a woman mentioning it. Pretty basic. The area itself though, oh boy. I expected some kind of machine place, maybe a small area with a puzzle and like a few enemies. Instead, I got a massive, never-ending machine factory that had me saying WTF over and over and over in my head, all the while Aloy just calmly talks about it all.
The metal, the light. It's like this entire place is part of some huge machine. But who made it?
Why is she so calm? After literally witnessing something that has my mind blown, this place is so far detached from everywhere else. The scale, the autonomy of it all is truly shocking. Or for Aloy, you know, just everyday stuff. This area though is by far the hardest experience I've faced in this game so far. Not just is the terrain alien, unknown and hard to sneak through, even seeing the enemies within this place is difficult. I come across a new type of enemy here, some sort of crab robot. This wasn't so bad and was definitely tolerable by scanning weak points and using my new bow that penetrates armor more easily. Tough, but manageable. But then I make my way to the heart of this area, and let me tell you, the difficulty really shines when you're forced into specific situations. I enter this area, I override the factory and it releases the machines. To put it lightly, I get absolutely minced. Though, in a game where you have multiple lives, this is just the scouting part of the hunter. I didn't fail, I just successfully scouted, you see, it's perspective. Forced into this area without a stealth possibility, without cover, without even much room, I had to use the tools the game provides me to turn it from arena to trap. And that I do. I systematically place bomb trap wires around the edges to do major damage to anything crossing them. I focus on taking out the watchers whilst letting the traps do the work, until I finally face off against a bellowback. Just me and him. This big sack mother is annoying, spitting hefty flames then suddenly charging through them. Though, with enough traps put down, using lots of electricity and ensuring he's armorless using another new type of arrow, I eventually beat him. It was a long, tough fight in an arena that was foreign and unknown, forcing me to play the game in a new way, forcing me to adapt. The result is an area that perfectly demonstrates this game's strengths, never before seen wonderfully unique settings featuring action-packed encounters with Monster Hunter-style robots, forcing players to creatively use the combat to beat them. Everybody, please, hand in the air, give a big chef's kiss to your screen for this cauldron. The reward for this? Well, now I can override new forms of robots, which will certainly be fun to test out. But of course, the only way to truly celebrate victory is by buying yourself some sick new threads, which for Aloy is just wrapping yourself in netting. It's the tribal style, okay? You wouldn't get it.
They fly now! They fly now! They
I also realised the game actually names some of the side quests as errands, so they do make it clear when you're doing pointless quests. So at least that's something. I don't know why you have the pointless quests, but they make it clear. The second set of trials is fundamentally same as the last. Shoot X components or kill X enemies with X thing. Though the reason they get progressively harder is that whilst doing the same fundamental task, they throw in 2 bellowbacks to hassle you. At first I was thinking, how am I supposed to even kill several enemies that I froze while I also have flames being spat at me? Then I remember the answer is pretty simple. Just run. It's kind of impressive Aloy can outrun any robot in this game, because I personally in real life couldn't outrun a squirrel if it wanted my nuts. Back to my criticism on the climbing. And one major reason I said that the climbing is unrefined is that Aloy dramatically jumps like her life depends on it 9 times out of 10. In this one Bannock trial where you have to scale mountains to get a collectible, I see Aloy do this countless times. There's a ledge literally in front of her. She could just reach and grab it. She just has to lift her foot and put it on top of the ledge. Instead, she jumps like her life depends on it. There is a rope immediately in front of you, Aloy. Just hop on the rope. Jumps like her life depends on it. This happens a lot, and it feels really awkward, stiff, and gamey. It's completely immersion breaking. So is this just plain good? I would say no. It feels like they've picked an open world trope and under-delivered on it. It's the bare essentials, and comparatively to the addictive combat and mesmerizing visuals, it under-delivers. Out of the open world games I can think of, Ghost of Tsushima, Shadow of War, Assassin's Creed games, Jedi Fallen Order, this is the worst climbing. It's not bad, but it is the worst and the least refined. I've mentioned how beautiful the game is, and I mean, you're seeing this in 4K no doubt, so I don't even need to tell you. You can see it yourself, but look at this locational variety. Look how overgrown mountainous regions turn into dry canyon with old destroyed cities looming in the distance. It's less that the locations are extremely diverse because they mostly fall down to mountainous regions overtaken by nature, but the way that they're handled is extremely well done because they've managed to make each area feel distinct without going overboard and ruining believability. A real location would not switch from tropical to tundra instantly, but mountainous luscious forest crossing with a drier canyon-like area more believable. It results in a world that feels exceedingly natural. You feel like a stranger to the world rather than the world being made for you. The latest area is an immense overgrown city. These cultists litter the city, using it as home due to the Nora considering it a sacred place they should never enter. It's a place that is beautiful in the daytime, quiet and peaceful, yet as it turns to night it becomes solemn and spooky. The lighting does absolute wonders in this game at making every location feel distinct based on time and weather. Even spookier is the following mission where myself and another Nora sneak into this cultist base during the dead of night. The mission, while amazing in premise, being SEAL Team 6 Aloy, is slightly ruined by the stealth system being a little bit janky.
She went that way.
By the sun!
Still, is an epic mission that creates a very unique situation you otherwise wouldn't experience. In a moment of absolute genius, I ignore all warnings and head to a bandit camp above my level. This was incredibly stupid of me. Due to the level difference, nothing I did had any killing capability on the new leader enemies, of which there were at least 10. This meant that sneaking was a no-go. As soon as I'd try and do anything, the leaders would either be in the way or unkillable. Because of the level difference, even my upgraded marksman bow wasn't enough to one-shot kill headshot anyone, and they could easily one-shot kill me. After trying and getting randomly insta-sniped, you'd think I would quit, right? As any sane person would. But no, I tried again and again and again until I succeed. Being stubborn is both my curse and my weapon. After this camp, which again you would think with how difficult it was I would take the hint and just turn around, but no, I keep going north. I see a large mountain covered with snow, and cannot resist the temptation for the view, and the view does not disappoint. Beautiful blankets of white snow cover the landscape, making this half-ruined world look pristine and peaceful, but looming above is a robot larger than any I'd ever seen, clearly not moving, but ominous. Now, you'd also think I would take this as a sign to turn back, a giant robot bigger than anything I've ever seen, but once again I do not. Before I know it, I'm in way over my head, sneaking around enemies much stronger than me, with new flying bird robots swirling overhead, just hoping I can sneak my way to the next campfire, where, very obviously, I find out this is the DLC area. Now for a sneaky trick by the developers that's both hit and miss. During cinematic moments of the game, the weather sometimes drastically changes. For instance, as I approach the old border for the Nora, which, after their historical war with the Carja is now a Carja fort, the weather becomes very stormy. As you push your way through the gate with everything chaotic happening around you, you witness the fort being assaulted by corrupted machines, even more chaos. It's an epic set piece, much more than a slight pelting of snow, that's for sure. But as soon as you beat the machines, the weather is gone, back to sun. If you don't notice this, you just subconsciously feel this is a more positive mood shift, from chaotic storm to calming sun. However, if you do notice this, is a little immersion breaking. The weather doesn't just change in a moment so drastically from blizzard to sun, and the result is really jarring. It's very minor, and I see what they're trying to do, but really immersion and integrity should always be put first in a game aiming to have a realistic and natural world. Everything around you looks so realistic and based on nature, yet the weather's so random and chaotic. This isn't the most jarring thing either though, as 5 seconds later this Carja guard just teleports right in front of me. No wonder the Nora lost the war. After having finished the game now though, there could actually be a very clever reason for the weather, but you'll find out about that. This is a big moment for both Aloy and the player. You are leaving the lands of the Nora and move into the territory of the Carja. Just like with Aloy, I'm excited that we finally get to see some story progression. It's been 10 plus hours and there has been no story since we became Seeker. It has been great fun doing collectible content, the other main quest, which really is just a short side quest, and exploring, but I share Aloy's passion to discover the questions of this world. I don't think she's really in the mood to just be messing around, and neither am I. As we leave the fort and step into Carja lands, you see snow fade into dry desert canyons, a completely new biome that is the most distinct so far. Sprawling in front of you are large robots and vultures that swirl overhead with unique buildings and cities littering mountainsides. It's beautiful, and the uniqueness of these buildings and this location only add to the feeling you're in a new, mysterious, unknown land for a Nora warrior. Nothing makes this clearer than when you find a trial on the way down the mountain, and the trial master is blown away seeing a Nora. We, as a player, felt like an alien to this world, but Aloy knew somewhat about it and somewhat belonged, so it was an easy transition for us. However, now, player and character are equally alien to this world. This trial was also the toughest by far, and gave challenges in a much more unique manner compared to previous ones. The aim of this one was survival. Surviving the brutal onslaught of these enemies whilst trying to complete the objective, and it was certainly terrifying, especially considering I had no idea what these new enemies were capable of. I take a small detour and go to the closest side objective, which is a cauldron. I figure that it's best to be able to overdrive the enemies of this area, as that's what cauldrons are for. There is some strategy behind exploring. Do you like overdrives? The cauldrons? Do you just prefer exploring, going for long necks and scouting the map? Whatever the case, there is something for you to do, and it does benefit your character. But really, it only dawned upon me now as I completed this cauldron, which by the way was still very, very cool, with a very tense last fight that I'm showing here. Horizon Zero Dawn has now shown me everything it has to offer. Now, I often speak of the honeymoon phase in my videos, the point which you realise and accept a game for what it is, and it either starts to bore you or keeps you in love with it. Horizon was a little different because the open world objectives, the collectibles, the exploration, it wasn't new to me. I'd done it in countless other games, and so there never was a honeymoon phase. I started the game knowing what it would be like, and that's no different now. This isn't good or bad, it's more like going back to the comfort food you have on rainy days gaze. It's always there, it's always exactly what you want from it. It's not hard to make, it's not complicated, it's just plain good. And that's Horizon Zero Dawn now. Due to this, there won't be much more to talk about or show you for a while. Not until there is more story content or something really surprising. Which there is, by the way. The general gameplay loop you've seen, and it just goes like this. New area, hunting ground, long neck, collectibles, mop up area, story mission if you're lucky. Next area, rinse and repeat. I doubt much more will need to be added. Each loop will get progressively more difficult as I get better gear to tackle the latest tough enemy. I'm enjoying my time a lot, but it isn't changing my life, and it certainly isn't the best game I've ever played. There is one side quest that persists through a decent portion of the game. You get it early on and spend time tracking a girl seeking revenge for a crime that happened during a war. Originally, I was quite critical of this quest. It seemed quite mundane. However, there are really interesting moments where it tackles the illusions of war. What is rumour and what is truth? Are things exaggerated, and so on? Start to question this girl that you're there to rescue. Are you going to help her commit justified revenge, or are you trying to stop somebody who might be a psychopath? That is until you eventually find out the man is actually a secret slaver. He ambushes you as you try to save the girl. A few simple headshots and the quest is over. It's short, it's sweet, and it's one of the few good side quests, even if it's dragged on for a long time. All that's left is to deliver the final blow to the slaver Zaid while he's down and... Okay, I'm gonna let the kill steal slide because he did murder your family, but last warning. Then finally, everything we have been working for, everything Aloy desires and needs. Meridian. It's there. Answers, solutions, mysteries solved. I quickly climbed to a nearby vantage point to see its full beauty. And I didn't know this, but it's amazing to be able to see this area before the fall of humanity. I didn't notice that the vantage points did this until this moment. Before, it was just a simple plateau. And now it's a bustling city of which we didn't think possible compared to the tribalistic Nora. A vast amount of travelling, nearly half the entire map, just to get to this point, with no story missions, minimal cutscenes, no character progression, nothing. It's a lot, and I know friends who never got this far into the game, and now I understand why. Everything prior to this has been fun, but also meaningless. It's just killing and looting and exploring. Now, the opposite. What feels like a hub of characters and emotions and answers is all right there, and hopefully there is enough story to make up for the drought up until this point. Entering Meridian, you immediately see the contrast between the Nora and Karja. The Nora are tribalistic, nomadic, and religious, where the Karja are about chasing progress in their expansive socialist city. They do have their own religion though. People litter the streets almost as if they are overpopulated. Some succeed, others starve. Some are nice, some are shocked to see a Nora. Most of all, it is clear something is not correct here. The sister of the man who tried to flirt with us at the start was assassinated, making the flirtatious man the new head of their military, and he greets Aloy drunk. The guards do not approve of him allowing Aloy inside, and the people do not approve that his sister has not yet been avenged. Most of all though, more than anything, we get some tangible steps towards story progress here. Olin, the strange man who seemingly knew we would get attacked, is gone, but we are allowed to search his house anyway, and I am so desperate for story. Please give me some little story nuggets. And story there is, albeit a crumb for now. Olin's family were kidnapped and he was forced to help the cultists. We know where Olin is, and so we head there to find him. This puts me in a difficult situation though, because I sorely craved story content and I've been given the opportunity, yet I've also been given 5 side quests and a quest to find the flirtatious man's sister. His name is Errant, by the way. Some of these side quests are very interesting too, and not all time wasters like others, such as becoming successful in the Hunter's Lodge, which is an elite group of hunters, or tracking down a tribe which apparently lives peacefully with robots. But sadly, in a way, I'd rather there be no side quests so I can just focus on the main story. But alas, my compulsion as a completionist leads me away from the story a little bit longer just to mop up some side quests near my level. Maybe I'll save the tougher ones for later though. Maybe. Why do I have to collect everything? People bullied Mass Effect Andromeda for the facial animations, but I'm sorry, just look at this. Is she even human? She looks like an uncanny valley robot.
Sure did. He grabbed some linen off the stand here and took off down the stairs. He was bleeding, so maybe he needed a binding. Blast it!
This isn't a big deal to me or a game killer, but it's funny to me how one game is praised as one of the greats despite this issue, and another is bullied as one of the worst ever made. But maybe I need to try Mass Effect Andromeda and see if it's as bad as they say. What do you guys think? Whilst the story has been in a lull, the combat and side quests improved massively. At this point, the game knows you understand it well enough that it can throw the real enemies at you. At this point, the combat really shines and shows its inspiration towards the Monster Hunter games. I mean, look at this side quest boss that I'm fighting, dodging and running around as I utilise weaknesses and destroy components to eventually kill out and acquire its unique resources to get even more unique weapons and armour. That's Monster Hunter, and this is the only game I've seen to take inspiration for a Western audience. Clearly the combination with storytelling, the unique setting and an open world is a dream come true. I hope the combat continues in this theme, giving me truly terrifying robots and meaningful side quests, alongside a hopefully compelling and consistent story very soon, as in immediately, right now, please. Then again, the side quests really do improve. I mean, by the end of it, you're solving a murder mystery greater than that of any Batman game. A game literally about a detective superhero. You see Aloy's personality, her feelings, her interactions with others. Granted, this is considered a main quest, but really it's a sort of side quest or faction quest. Still, it's so much better than all of the errands and rubbish. That isn't to say there is still not some bad. The track gimmick is majorly overused. Every single quest features it. Find location, press scan button, select track, follow track until you find the quest. This is a standardized gimmick that needs to be worked upon, such as Ghost of Tsushima, which created the wind objective marker. You do get what you're owed though, some story, some answers, and more mystery thrown in. When you finally get there, you discover that Olin is held against his will and he fights back against the cultists when he sees you. Though, you also hear a mysterious voice through your focus saying that the cultist focuses are now off, then silence. Upon beating the cultists and their corruptors, which by the way is a great way the game is keeping combat evolving, either large dangerous machines or humans and machines mixed together, Olin sends you information on a ruin that will tell you who the mysterious woman that looks like Aloy is. Though I didn't really see the resemblance, to be honest. Not that I'd be the one to tell Aloy that. Power doesn't really come through leveling up. Mostly, as levelling is quality of life changes such as a shorter detection radius for enemies or getting more scrap, or easier assassinations or longer overdrive, and most importantly calling a mount whenever you want even if you haven't overdriven one. This is an absolute game changer, as now I just press down on the D-pad and go 3 times faster. I can also raid bandit camps and cause absolute havoc. The power comes from weapons and upgrades, of which I have 2 new weapons that offer different elements and a little more damage. But really, it's all about this mount. This mount is more than just a quality of life change because it's pretty quality death for the bandits too. Discovering the truth about Aloy's possible mother is easy. Just have to sneak through a cultist camp with corruptors, beat a new terrifying robot called a Destroyer, access one of the old doors that rejected Aloy prior, climb a massive 100-story tall skyscraper covered in ice and snow, and then learn how to recover sensitive data to find the truth about the fall. Easy. The truth is not what Aloy wanted. The truth is that the fall was the blunder of a corporate man, and Aloy's supposed mother, who can't be her mother, though we obviously know that Aloy is a clone of her, did something to stop the horrors of this man who caused this massive calamity. It isn't clear exactly what the calamity is or the cause yet, but we do find that out very soon. Whilst Aloy is not happy with this, as she didn't learn the truth of herself, the man speaking in her ear names himself as Silence and says that this is the most valuable information in existence. Aloy resolves to work with Silence and chase the mysteries surrounding her. If so, maybe her personal ones will be untangled by the mysteries of humanity's fall. All said and done, now that I've arrived in Meridian, the story has picked up massively. The pacing is solved and feels much better as the game consistently strings together new mysteries while solving others. You meet new characters, you see Aloy's personality shining in various situations, and it generally feels like the story has returned. It's clearly a new dawn for Horizon Zero Dawn. Another small element that makes the world feel more alive is that as you advance, the story area areas usually overtaken by robots are now overtaken by cultists and corruptors. Now, there is a good chance these cultists were here anyway, I just would have had no reason to be here so early, but it's good design nonetheless for variety and world building. The reward for collectibles is really bad. Unlike in Ghost of Tsushima, where you get permanent unique upgrades, armor and weapons, in Horizon you just get a loot box. A bloody loot box that just gives you green modification upgrades. Wow, I feel so incentivized, thanks. This was for the ancient vessels, but I also got equally bad rewards for the Bannock figures and the metal flowers, so don't expect to get any rewards in this game, completionist. The real reward was the friends we made along the way, which is sadly none because everyone either seems to be overly flirtatious, a religious nutjob, a psychopath, or just a plain weirdo. Imagine being born in the 21st century, as all of us are, with education, the internet, all of the knowledge in the world right at our fingertips, and your theory on the shape of the earth is disproven by a tribal woman whose only form of education was to learn how to poke things with a sharp stick.
Why would I think that? During eclipses, the shadow cast on the moon is curved. So our world is a globe.
After a short area including a boss fight with another destroyer, which will no doubt soon be just a normal enemy, I discovered something called Ground Zero, which was at an orbital base. It sounds like a plan to wipe out the robots with a nuke of some sort while humanity lay underground in a ruin like the one at the start. We shall see, but that's just my little theory. What's your theory, guys? What the hell do you think is going on? Because I have no idea. Doing this side quest for Erend and the Sun King really highlights how impeccable the world building is in this game. The developers managed to build up this palpable 100 years of history across multiple factions within the game, giving each a very unique cultural feel. More so though, each faction has a very unique racial style. No faction has a clear-cut race, and they all look as if they're a mix of years of different races breeding together. It's a really cool touch that makes the game feel incredibly unique, and it certainly helps the faces look so good when they aren't talking. It makes perfect sense too, because there would be no races in a universe where humanity ended. Whatever humans did exist would breed and more than likely create a new race that's a mixture of whatever it started with. It's such a wonderful and unique sociological perspective. Can you robots shut up back there? I'm trying to listen to a cutscene. Ah, Apple AirPods, smart Aloy. Here's a really nice moment seeing Erend's character development through this side quest, going from a childish drunk to a scared drunk to an ex-drunk. And ironically, this is more character development that we've seen from Aloy since she's grown up. Don't get me wrong, she is a literally perfect character, and we've seen her grow from child to adult. But ever since she has been an adult, it's like her personality has been set in stone. So it's refreshing to see other characters feeling more lively and flexible. Oh, Hagrid, I didn't know you were in this game, and you're looking very trimmed there, chap.
You're a wizard.
Imagine this. You single-handedly save a city from a terrorist plot, and in doing so find out the Sun King's lover was captured and killed. And upon saving the day and talking to the king, he implies he wants you to replace her. Seriously, can we meet one single male in this game that doesn't attempt to romance this barely legal Aloy? It's great she's strong and says no, but it's still just as annoying to constantly be hit on over and over and over by everyone. Way to ruin a victory by asking Aloy out. She's a bit out of your league, Mr. Sun King.
It's pretty clear how you felt about her. And now you're asking me to take her place. Is this a job offer or a proposition?
At least Erend shows some development and shows respect towards Aloy, and Aloy nods back, showing that she views him as a friend. It's nice to see friendship being supported as a valid relationship status in a game.
Not to forget about me while you're out there changing the world.
I'll always have a minute for you. Maybe even two.
Two? Huh. She likes me.
The next step in the main plotline is to infiltrate a cultist base and disrupt their focus network, essentially making them blind. The set pieces here are really cool. You're getting attacked left and right and having to run, though the sometimes less than perfect climbing makes it a little bit awkward. Usually when you're being shot by rockets, you don't stop and stare at the next rock and just not jump to it. This mission is incredibly short and separates itself from the rest. You learn Silence was once a cultist, and you also learn about Hades, the evil evil robot that the cultists worship. Generally, these missions don't progress the plot massively, or even really start solving the mystery, but it does get you closer and the progress feels tangible. Apparently I'm at an arena now. I'm not exactly sure why I'm here. I don't remember or recollect being told why. I think it was to go to the orbital missile station called Zero Dawn, or this is where Zero Dawn happened. Maybe it's just my fault for writing notes while also playing, but I do sometimes feel like I'm just being told by Silence to go here and go there with little reason or motivation as to why other than that. It does make sense when I get there, but I often just feel like a servant for Silence, who is possibly also one of the most annoying and obnoxious characters I've ever had to deal with. For a man with Silence in his name, he really talks too much.
No distractions. If you have errands to run, do them first or hold your peace. I won't tolerate whining. Is that clear?
Point proven, Silence. Nice one, mate. In this Zero Dawn bunker, we discover that Zero Dawn is not a superweapon, and that was a lie to cover up the government's attempts to enact the true Zero Dawn. The idea of a Fallout-style bunker was wrong. This is because the robots eat anything living, meaning the planet itself too, and they'd eventually just sit atop the husk of the Earth for eternity. And then finally, the game reveals everything. Every single piece of information you could need or want to know, all in a single moment, and it is a lot to take in, so please bear with me. I've tried to shorten this down and compact it as much as I could for you all. To put this simply, Dr. Sobek, Aloy's ancient mama, aimed to create an AI called Gaia that is capable of rebuilding the Earth and acting as Mother Nature by replanting seeds, regulating oceans, and so on. They were tasked with building this AI underground, so I was actually kind of correct about the Fallout bunkers, but they weren't tasked with living, just building this so one day future civilizations could exist, not the humans in the bunkers. So that one day when the Earth is ready and considered livable, a bioengineered human could be born and put out into the world. This is seemingly Aloy. I wrote in my notes about how confused I was how these babies were raised in the first place, but they actually show you that. They have AIs specifically trained to be caretakers and raisers of these babies. The problem is they also tackle that these babies that were raised in these places were never allowed outside into the wild. And I didn't realise this, but Aloy actually isn't the only artificial human. Every single human in the world is an artificial human. They all think Aloy is a freak, but actually every single one of them are just like her. And I would love to know where this humanity in this world started. Who was the first? Who raised the first? How did it even come to be? All I know is most living adult humans don't do a good job raising kids these days, so we might as well just leave them with the AI. They'd probably do a definitely better job. I would 10 out of 10. You also don't find out where the evil Sauron impersonating robot comes from that's named after Hell's caretaker. A non-story cutscene explains that Hades was designed to reset Earth to 0 in case Gaia fails to create a good enough Earth. Even though humans are actually technically the original Hades, because it was humans that destroyed the Earth, not the robots. So I was also incredibly confused about one specific point, and that is that Dr. Sobek talks very lovingly to Gaia, and it made me actually think that it wasn't an AI, but that Gaia was Aloy or something, or some past version of Aloy. But this is actually explained really beautifully later on, and essentially Dr. Sobek created Gaia to be loving towards humans, to love humans and love Earth. Logic can be manipulated for a purpose, but love is pure. Love is caring. Love is nurturing. And so, Dr. Sobek focused on using love as the motivation for Gaia. Just like all the way at the beginning though, the game does not allow you to think. Because as with the start of the game, it wants you to be on the edge of your seat and heedless the Dave Bautista of cultists' attacks. Aloy is kidnapped, adult napped, bioengineered lifeform napped? Yeah, whatever. Among this psychopath's deluded monologue, of which Aloy clearly calls out,
Some destiny. You're following orders, not some grand cosmic design. You're a puppet, with Hades yanking the strings, a pawn pushed around by larger forces.
He says only one thing of relevance as he destroys Aloy's focus, and that is that he ordered every single Nora killed.
So you see, this time, I did not hesitate. The knife has already been twisted.
His monologue consisted of doubting why he didn't kill Aloy when he had the chance, and that now he's twisting the knife and he is definitely killing her. Not sure why this idiot thinks that he's definitely killed her by putting her in an arena fight when Aloy has killed countless machines. Should have tried twisting the knife like he said. Luckily for us, we also have our very own Black Gandalf to save us. All jokes aside, amazing story, amazing cutscenes, epic set pieces among some of the best in games. I truly wish it didn't take this long to get to this 10 out of 10 content, but the wait was actually worth it. Ironically, I wouldn't personally wait after hearing the Nora tribe is going to be wiped out. I'd be right down there to push back the invasion and really help out the people that I've lived with and nearby my whole life, even if they weren't very nice, because as Uncle Rusty said, with great technology comes great responsibility. Oh, Aloy is going straight to Mother's Cradle to find out about her birth and just letting the Nora get attacked and die. Okay. Fighting through the now infested Nora sacred lands is a strange experience. Once this was a place of nature and beauty, it was where our adventure started. Fun and learning and exceedingly calm. Now it's dark, foggy, mysterious, corrupted and dangerous. This is how the developers have shown the play on a psychological level that things are changing. What was once safety is now danger. What was once beautiful will soon be destroyed. Fighting our way up the mountain to get to the All-Mother's Cradle, our birthplace, is tough, but we rush there to discover our origin and...
For Aloy! For our mother!
And save the Nora. Yes, I was here to save all of you. With the Alpha Registry gained from Zero Dawn, we can enter the place in which Aloy was born. The blue glow is like a mother's warming embrace for Aloy, and a strange sense of calmness and peace washes over her. It's as if the blue glow is washing away her inner turmoil, her confusion on her identity, her confliction on who she is and what it means to be human. Aloy is reaching an elusive state that nearly nobody ever gets to, and that is acceptance. Then we get all the answers. Finally, the full truth. Hades was formed from an unknown virus sent to the Gaia system. The only way Gaia saw to counter this was to self-destruct herself and Hades together. Before this is done, she recreated Dr. Sobek through her genetic code, birthing Aloy with the hope this Dr. Sobek version 2 will fix the final issue. The only reason this happened in itself was because Dr. Sobek raised Gaia with love, which would mean that Gaia loved Dr. Sobek. And just with most people in the world, where do you go to when you have a problem? One of your parents. Aloy now has a mission to save the planet as the clone of the greatest human ever, but she desired more than anything to feel human, to be human after always being treated as a nobody, a tool, as subhuman. But now she finds out that she is a tool, created by a machine to enact an outcome. Sylens doesn't get this, but I do. Aloy doesn't want to find out she is the greatest human being to ever exist. She wants to find out that she is just a human, ordinary, and belongs. Regardless, she is strong and she heads off to do what must be done, accepting who she is, and if she doesn't, then the terraforming dies out, Hades takes over, and the world will get eaten alive. Aloy leaves the bunker and she has no problem pretending like the Nora's religion actually does exist. She could obviously teach them all and disprove everything, but she's fine letting them believe and have faith. What she is not fine with is how they try to control her with the religion. She states that there is a world that needs saving, not just the Nora. She is not the Nora's belonging, and the Nora do not own the world. In a single sentence, she changes a society and religion from individualistic to globalist, meaning she changes it from the clan caring about themselves to caring about others. In the mountain where Gaia exploded, we learn Dr. Sobek died fixing Gaia, or at least she went outside a facility, so died somewhere outside in the big ol' open world by an unstoppable army of human eaters. But there is a little glimmer of hope for Aloy, because because Dr. Sobek mentioned that she wanted to go home. Though it's actually lucky Dr. Sobek wasn't there, because the man who started the entire machine army apocalypse, the man who accidentally made them eat humans to survive and replicate, this very same man decided that the new race of humans shouldn't be affected by the humans of the past. That the humans of the past were a plague, their history a toxin, their actions a disease, and so he decides to kill everyone inside a facility, purge the libraries and collections of knowledge, and wipe humanity fully to zero. Don't know why the guy who created the army of killer robots felt like he deserves to choose who is innocent or not. I iterated long ago how Sylens was one of the most insufferable characters to ever grace a game. Obnoxious, toxic, stubborn and egotistical. Well, he's still quite a few of those things, but he shows a lot of character development. He grows a respect for Aloy. He learns to trust and force feelings out of himself for her, and he even tells her the total truth of his poor choices. In these last moments, he tells her about how he set up the cult and found Hades. He did it for knowledge and learning, slowly realising how sinister Hades was, until eventually Hades ordered Sylens dead. There's more to it, but he is a very good, flawed character, which perfectly offsets the perfect Aloy. The two are almost complete opposites, yet make awesome partners because of it. The game makes it very clear when you start the final section of the game, the classic "there is no going back." But even if they didn't do this, you would know anyway. You're preparing defences for an onslaught of robots heading straight for you, and then to the Spire, where Hades will transmit the codes for all robots to start consuming the entire Earth again. The set pieces involved here are beyond epic. They are moments where gaming truly transcends what consumable media is capable of. It's beyond a movie, and the entire section is fully immersive. So much so, I forgot I was even writing notes for a video. The fight with Helis is tough, and the fact you can finally get to beat this monster who killed Rost, and you can handle that however you want, is great. Then an intense scene of fighting off robots with incredibly fun Ossurum cannons. You thought the siege of Minas Tirith was cool, well how about the siege of Meridian? It isn't too tough of an encounter, and more than anything it's just plain fun. But seeing the landscape and surroundings you've explored, protected and navigated getting destroyed as these robots approach, it feels very visceral, and it really makes it feel like you are the last line of defence. But alas, Aloy is but one woman, a very perfect one, but still. And eventually the robot onslaught is just too much for her. Knocked unconscious, she awakes to see Hades has performed the code transmission, and the Earth and its inhabitants will start getting consumed. Aloy sprints up to the top of the spire for the very final battle against Hades. Now, what do you think the very final enemy could be? A giant, a devil-like dinosaur robot, the ultimate killing machine made by Ted Farrow? How about just another destroyer that we fought plenty of throughout the whole game? Yep, you got it. That's exactly it. All jokes aside, it is a really well balanced and incredibly tough fight that runs your resources down to the point you have to make riskier and riskier decisions, and for me, I barely made it. I then plunged the override into the spire and ended Hades. The Earth saved, Gaia free, and the world just, left to do its thing. Aloy isn't done though. She has one last final thing to do, and that was to confirm the fate of the closest thing she ever had to her mother. Travelling far, she finds the home of Dr. Sobek, where she finds resting, enjoying a peaceful view, her corpse. She sees within her very own eyes the woman that looks like her, and staring at her face, she listens to the recording of Gaia asking Dr. Sobek what she would want her daughter to be like.
If you had had a child, Elizabeth, what would you have wished for him or her?
I guess I would have wanted her to be curious and willful, unstoppable even, but with enough compassion to heal the world just a little bit.
And that is the most perfect description of Aloy you could ask for. Well, other than the word perfect. Long before the Marvel Cinematic Universe giving us ending credit scenes, you had video games doing it. In Horizon Zero Dawn, the ending credit scene shows the wonderful Sylens ruining the character progression I thought he made by capturing Hades and asserting that he will find out the creator of Hades as he stares at an even bigger robot.
Knowledge has its rewards, don't you think? Well, let's begin.
And with that, Horizon Zero Dawn is finished. New Game Plus is unlocked for those who want it, and the world is open again for people like me who must compulsively get the Platinum Trophy. The game itself has been long. It has felt like an adventure to get to this point, but it also doesn't feel like much is left. A small portion of the map that's missing, one of each collectible, a few side quests, and that's about it. But often the Platinum process can be what kills a game. It happens more than you would think. I'm looking at you, Disco Elysium. That game is the biggest break me I've ever given. But I wonder, will Horizon overstay its welcome with its abundance of collectibles, or will it be like the nice, relaxing last day before you have to leave your holiday resort? Except with killer robots and all that. Usually with my videos there's a nice chunky section detailing the completion process, being really critical about what may make or break a game, telling you if it's worth your time to platinum or if you should just finish it. Well, I'm going to keep this short for you. The completion process is just plain good. Every part of the completion process is the same as everything you did prior. That includes the great combat, good loop of bandit camps and cauldrons, the good side quests, and the odd bad, though the vast majority are good if a little reliant on following tracks. But this does also include the bad, the climbing being stiff and mechanical, the sometimes awkward facial animations, the incredibly tedious story pacing, Aloy being perfect and never developing or growing as a character because she is literally perfect, and the completely pointless collectibles that you get nothing for. A completionist is rewarded nothing for getting that platinum, or even going further than the platinum and getting every lore note too. But the reward is the fun we made along the way, and the adventure completing Horizon Zero Dawn was some of the most fun I've ever had in an open world game. No, it doesn't quite top Ghost of Tsushima for me, which excelled in nearly every element, and I think I probably had a little bit more fun on Shadow of War, but it's definitely in the top 3, and has a sequel for one day in the future too. If you want me to do the DLC for Horizon Zero Dawn, then just let me know in the comments, but I chose not to do it because it's purely lore based and offers no more gameplay and no platinum, which is kind of the point of my channel. So undoubtedly the answer to the big question of if Horizon Zero Dawn made me or broke me is clear. It made me. It made me appreciate the most unique apocalyptic setting I've ever seen. It made me fall in love with Aloy as a character. It made me adore the Monster Hunter style combat, and it made me have a lot of very relaxing fun. There was definitely some unrefined elements in there, but overall they are just a small smudge on an excellent open world experience, and I'm certain they're fixed in Horizon Forbidden West. But who knows if or when I will tackle that beast of a game. So thank you again for all of you perfectionists watching the video. I'm actually already playing the next game on the channel, and I'm telling you now that you will never guess the game. Not in this world, not in another world, and definitely not in the digital world.